Hello everyone, let's discuss today's The Hindu editorial page. The first article is a security breach that must lead to sweeping changes. In this article, the writer says that the incident of two young men entering the Lok Sabha chamber on December 13th, despite shouting slogans against dictatorship and releasing canisters emitting yellow smoke, is seen as a form of democratic dissent. However, this breach of security, which occurred on the same day in 2001 when 9 personnel of parliament lost their lives defending the citadel from terrorists, has a wider impact and implications. The security breach occurred throughout various layers of security set up for personal screening of visitors to parliament, including door frame metal detectors, handheld metal detectors, and personal frisking. However, neither door frame metal detectors nor handheld metal detectors can check for plastic or rubber, especially when hidden in one's shoes. The responsibility lies not only with the men at the screening stations, but also with the security personnel who followed the standard operating procedure. They were not briefed on the significance of the date calling for more intensive checks and innovative measures, and the new Parliament House was not equipped with the latest technology to screen visitors. A backscatter scanner can detect substances such as plastic and is being used in airports abroad. The Director General of the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security announced that Delhi Airport will receive full-body scanners and computer tomography X-ray (CTX) machines to ensure more thorough but faster screening. The security of Parliament and the introduction of new technology are currently under the responsibility of the Joint Secretary, Security, the Central Reserve Police Force, and the Central Industrial Security Force. The inquiry into the breach has been entrusted to the Indo-Tibetan Border Police (ITBP) chief, who is involved in the security setup of Parliament. In the absence of the Joint Secretary, Security, the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha each have a Director Security to direct security operations. The Ministry of Home Affairs (MHA) is responsible for all its security needs, refurbishing the security setup at Parliament House after 2001 and conducting the inquiry through the ITBP chief. The Joint Secretary Security is an overall operational control within the Sansad precincts, but is fully dependent on the MHA when it concerns the latest technology on access control or anti-explosive checks. The question to ask is whether the MHA ever suggested the need to improve access control and personal screening measures. It was incumbent upon the MHA to strongly advise the Secretariat on the induction of advanced technology into the setup. However, the critical area of technology upgrading fell between the two stools of administration. The political slugfest in the aftermath of the breach is not helping anyone's cause, nor is the debate on the jurisdiction of the Speaker of the House or the Deputy Leader. The issue is about access control failure in Parliament that resulted in intruders getting right into the heart of Lok Sabha in close proximity to ministers and members of Parliament. The targeting of the MP who recommended the issuance of passes to the intruders may be unfair. MPs across the parties have been liberal in recommending the names of people eager to witness Lok Sabha proceedings since 1952. While the pass issue should be streamlined, one should not lose focus on the real lapse, the failure of access control. The youngsters involved in the incident on December 13th caused no harm but inflicted the gravest damage by revealing gaps in Parliament security to all and sundry. Though the charge of terrorism may not stick, they must be prosecuted against for unauthorized entry in a well-guarded place after conspiring to carry out the incident for well over a year. The next article is India's defense budgeting and the point of deterrence. In this article, the writer says that the Medium Multi-Role Combat Aircraft MMRCA program of the Indian Air Force IAF has been criticized for its high cost, estimated at around $10 billion in 2007. However, the purchase of 36 Rafale jets was of limited value due to the requirement for 126 aircraft. This has led to concerns about the depleting strength of the IAF, which is now 32. It would take another 10 years before it reaches 35 squadrons, as stated by the current IAF chief. The Indian Army and Navy are also facing significant deficiencies, with media reporting major deficiencies with them too. With India in election mode and SOPs being shown on the electoral ballot, the allocation for defense in budget 2024-25 could take a hit, impacting India's deterrence posture. The question is whether affordable defense will be the driving factor, or affordable effectiveness will drive the defense budget allocation. The threat on the northern borders is a live one, and it would be unprofessional to dismiss our Western neighbors' present benign stance as indicative of a lessening of risk. India needs to be prepared for both. A judicious assessment of how India plans to execute the next war could not be more pressing in these days of electoral one-upmanship. The necessity of acceleration in sea power to deter China in the Malacca Strait and further east, as well as in the Indian Ocean, is essential. The army needs to modernize, and considering its size, the budget requirement would be considerable. The planning and budgeting in the Indian military before the Russia-Ukraine war was for a short, sharp conflict, with logistics design aiming to stock up on a 10 days intense war and build up to a 40 scenario. The leadership of the armed forces now visualizes an extended war scenario as seen in Ukraine. A recent article in the authoritative website War on the Rocks titled, "You go to war with the industrial base you have, not the industrial base you want," weighs in on the debate with its clairvoyant deductions and needs to be studied given the publicity around the Atmanirbhar Bharat drive. The indigenous drive R&D and the Atmanirbhar Bharat public relations drive need to be studied, as developing a local defense industry takes decades and requires a smart balance between imports and indigenous acquisitions to ensure the required potency.